I went to the Art Institute of Colorado. I studied industrial design. I wanted to get involved in the product. The product for us is one of the most important aspects of our company. I wasn't sure if I wanted this product though or another product, so I wanted to learn about making product, and so that's where I started in school.
Well, Eric and I work on just about every design. It's a design that I create, I'll work with Eric. If it's one he creates, he'll work with me. Sometimes we create a knife together, like the Tenacious. We're always working with better and better steels. We've evolved our steels quite a bit over the last 40 years that we've been involved in the industry. We work with quite a few different foundries, both here and abroad. They develop steels and we test them. We have our own testing lab, and then we determine whether or not it has the performance that we're seeking. We also pay a lot of attention to ergonomics, and we go through a lot of processes to develop something that's comfortable in different hand sizes and shapes.
The next important stage of a knife is making sure that it's flat. It's parallel and flat all the way through the entire blade, particularly for a folding knife. And so how we get to that flatness is very important, and the tolerances we keep are within a thousandth of an inch. It's very important to be able to have a nice, clean, flat, parallel part when it comes from the laser going on to the next bevel grinding stages. In our facility, we do two kinds of bevel grinds. A bevel grind that I'm talking about is that main bevel. This one is a hollow grind where a round wheel comes in and creates the round dish of what the hollow grind is. The other type of grind we do is a flat grind where a large wheel comes in and does the full flat grind. And so we pride ourselves in our bevel grinds and making the parts flat and clean from the beginning. And so as the parts go on from this stage, it's easier and a higher quality as they go throughout the rest of the manufacturing processes. When I designed my first knife, I was very young. It probably didn't come out very good at all. I can remember some of my youngest designs. I was probably 6 or 8 years old. I wasn't a big fan of the round hole and hump, so I found other ways of doing that because I thought knives looked more eye-appealing without them. As I grew to know more about knives and appreciate them more, I found that the round hole is a very nice feature. And so nowadays it's something that is in all of the designs. But I started young, penciling knives, probably I can remember 5, 6 years old, getting on a grinder with some wood and trying to create something. I've learned a lot about making knives from my father, mostly just about everything I've learned, though I continue to watch the industry and watch what other people are doing. But really the core of it is that we're performance-based. We're trying to build a product for somebody to go out there and use. Oftentimes they're trying to save somebody's life, or they could be cutting some food or opening some mail. They come in all different sizes and shapes, and the world's a big place. And so having all that said, it gives us a lot that we can do with the knife. So the next stage that I'm going to discuss real quickly is tumbles. The tumbling, where you throw a part into a machine, it takes a different media and it polishes that part. Now for us, we do a lot of different tumbling, whether it's for a lock or a liner or a blade. We don't do it on all of our parts, but tumbling is an important part of what you do. In tumbling, there are a lot of variables. What type of material you're trying to tumble, what type of finish you're trying to achieve, what the tumble media is, how long it's in the tumble media. It can go from one tumble media to another tumble media, so it can be a complicated process, and there are a lot of different aspects of quality when it comes to tumbling. So it is one department that we pride ourselves in, to have a nice clean part so that the appearance of the knife from the consumer is the best that we can deliver, particularly out of the obstinate materials that we're trying to make it out of. One of the next stages of a knife, and sometimes they're heat treated at this point, sometimes they're not, depending on the knife and what we're trying to achieve. But almost every knife that we make goes into a CNC machining center. This is an important step for us. being able to achieve exactly what we need to, because you're not able to remove or put that material back. And for the level of quality that we're trying to achieve for our product line, this can be a very difficult process. When we want our knives to open, we want them to be smooth. We want the locks to engage solidly. We don't want them to be cumbersome. We want to disengage appropriately. And when you're trying to achieve all those things, it just gets more and more difficult as the quality standards get higher and higher. And so for us, the machining department, which is done on virtually every folding knife that we make, is a very important aspect of making our knives.
I'm excited about a lot of the products that are coming about. I guess I'll narrow it down on some, though there's more than I can probably remember off the top of my head. I'm excited for some of the US product that we're building. They're achieving high qualities that have been very difficult to try to achieve those types of qualities in the past. I'm excited for a lot of the custom collaborators that we're working with these days. When I was a kid, we weren't able to produce the type of quality that we're able to produce today. And so when a custom knife would come to us, quite often it was quality that would be very hard to achieve in a production world. Nowadays, with the modern technologies and how far we've come in manufacturing, when a custom collaborator brings us a product, oftentimes we can try to achieve what they've done by hand. And that's been very exciting for me lately, is being able to take something that's very truly hard to make and bring it to the market on a top level.
This is something that we're doing on some of our models, but not all of our models at this time, is the robotic sharpening of the edge angle. The reason I'm showing it and discussing it quickly is because we found that it makes a very good part. When we're trying to make a knife, we're trying to achieve the highest level at every stage. And if you compound all those stages together, at the end you should have a better performing part. We keep very tight tolerances on our edge angles, and this does a very good job of it. We keep very tight tolerances on our main bevels. Our Rockwells, we keep very tight tolerances on our points. Now with this machine, one of the things we're able to achieve is a consistent edge angle absolutely throughout the entire part. When you're sharpening the knife by hand, sometimes the edge angle, and our guys are good, can vary by maybe a degree or two over the span of the edge. So when you get into a machine like this, you're just bringing those tolerances better and better every day, so that at the end of the day, we have a better performing part.
We've got people who've been with us a long time, 20, 25 years, long enough to really get good at what they do. We try to be very honest with our customers and in our products. We don't say something will do something that it won't. We give the chemistry of all of our steels that we use. We work closely with the foundries to develop steels that will work better for different applications. And I think our customers know that. They like to watch what we're doing.
That through the years, you're always gaining more and more knowledge. And so at where we're at Spyderco, we can make some very high quality knives that reach some of the top levels in the world today, in my opinion. And that's due to the crew that's helping make them and work on them, and the entire staff, and what we've learned as a team.
The next process of our knives is finishing. Many of our knives are hand polished, they're hand sanded, they're hand sharpened, and a lot of handwork still goes into our knives. Most of these wheels are turning at a very fast speed. They're an abrasive wheel, and it takes a lot of hand and eye coordination, and sometimes takes years to really get to a supreme level of skill. So it's quite often not something you can come in and do everything right away. It takes a bit of learning. Now for our finishers, we're trying to achieve the best quality we can. One of the things that we learned is that if you can't see the difference, it's very hard to make the difference. And so one of the things you learn in our finishing department first is what the perception of quality is, what we're trying to achieve, and then being able to achieve that. And so these guys take these blades and other parts, and by hand they go up to them, and turning it at a few thousand RPM, they start to polish and sand these knives. Now for us, it's a very important and risky stage. It's one of the more dangerous aspects of the knife manufacturing because you're working with such fast speeds on an abrasive material. Another is that we put a lot of money and investment into the part when it gets to this stage. It's one of the last stages of a blade. And so when you take that part and you start sanding it and removing material, you really want to make sure that you're achieving the quality that you want to, because you can't put that material back. And so the training for this department and the people that we have in the department work very hard to try to achieve the quality levels that we're trying to achieve and the standards that we set.
You know, a lot of the knives are created by Eric and I, and so those we would naturally have the most pride for. But even then, you know, as you change and the market changes, your values change.
I feel one of the things that makes us unique is that we're trying to achieve the best product we can get to. You know, we use the best materials, the best locks. We try our very best effort to bring a nice product to the market. We're not completely profit-based, and that's one of the things that we use as a basis for our products that I'm proud of.
So this is the engraving department. Whether you're engraving the blade to mark what steel it is and put our trademark logos on there and where it's made, or you're marking a scale like this one for a decorative look, this is where we're going to put in this dark engraving. And that engraving is done by laser, which is just a beam of light that will stain the part or mark the part heavily.
I didn't feel like I had a lot of pressure. I feel like my parents were very patient with me. Very patient. I was trading knives for Hot Wheels. And so they let me grow into it, and I think that was a good thing for me. I don't know if it's good for everybody, but it was a good thing for me. You know, with my parents, they were very transparent. They didn't hide things. They kept me up to date. And all of that helped in trying to get into where I'm at today. Now I love it. You'd have to pry me away from it. When I was younger, I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, but now I love it.
I'll probably start slowing down more and more as I get older. I'm 72 now, so, you know, technically I'm semi-retired, down to 40 hours a week. But Eric and his staff will continue to develop the company and try to serve the customer base.
Much of what I've reviewed so far is the fabrication of the blade, because it's some of the most obstinate materials, some of the hardest materials to make. So here we are in the assembly department. At this time, we've already brought in the lock components, some of the scale components, handles, clips. Many of those things are made by different processes, whether they're stamped, they're CNC machined, or even wire formed or screw machined. But here's the assembly department, and this is really where the rubber meets the road as far as the knife itself. This is where all the parts are going to come together, and that the assembler has to try to see how that part came to be and maintain and hit the quality that we're trying to do. These days, many of our knife assemblers, we think of knife makers. They take many of the knives and they go from start to finish all the way through the knife, including doing a lot of the QC, and then they'll learn that over different knives and get good at those particular knives. We use fixtures to try to get more accurate, clutch drivers. We use Loctites and nylock patches and different things to try to achieve what we're trying to do in the assembly department.
God, we have about 100 new items we're working on all the time. And I don't know, about a third of them are always exciting. I'd like to thank all of our customers for supporting us. You know, we believe that the inline user is the market, and everything that contributes to that is part of a business chain, from the people that dig the ore out of the ground to the foundries that build the steel, to the people that make carbon fiber or G10, all the shipping companies, all the advertising companies, all of the marketing that's done is all done for the inline user. and we pay a lot of attention to that. We work for the end line user. And if you take the end line user out of the equation, then the entire business chain falls like a house of cards.
With my son, it's a completely different upbringing, and that's why I want to see where it goes. You can't reproduce what I grew up as. My parents had a smaller company. I was under the pitch booth. I came back and forth from school to work. Nowadays, it's much more difficult for somebody to do that. When I was a kid, this was pre-cell phones, pre-internet. It was a much different time. So his involvement isn't as deep as mine was. He doesn't come to work with me every day, but I hope that he finds his own path, and we'll see where it goes. If he were to try to parallel knives and could do a good job, I would be certainly for it. The company's very important. The people that are here are very important, and we're not going to sacrifice that for anything. So he would certainly have to work hard and earn it, but I think that he has every potential to do that.